Hello? I think I'm live. So, hello everyone. Let me know if audio's off or anything's wrong. Alright, well I guess I'll get started. So, if anyone doesn't know, sort of what I'm trying to do today is really just work on learning how to draw the skull from memory. I've always had trouble with doing this kind of thing with drawing or doing any sort of figure drawing. I've always struggled with it. So I've sort of dedicated myself to doing live streams every week on Wednesdays. I think I'm going to do it at this time every week on seeing if I can draw a skull from memory. And this is kind of what I got set up. So this was maybe a month ago when I did this guy, and then just gradually I've done one after the other. And this is what I did in the last stream, which I'm not real happy with. So I'm going to fill this one and see how it goes. See if I can improve on the last one. And hopefully it'll be a little bit better. So I guess I'll get started. If you have any questions, just put all caps question and then ask the question. So there's a couple different methods that I've tried studying in the last few days of getting some of this stuff worked out. So I'm trying a method by this guy named Robert Beverly Hale. And what he does, and actually I'm struggling a lot with using a Wacom tablet, period, but because I was trying this on paper and it was a lot easier, but I guess I can't blame everything on technical things. But Robert Beverly Hale's method of drawing a skull, at least in this lecture that I was watching, was to draw an egg, which is very hard to do on this tablet thing. I'm a little more used to paper on pencil when it comes to drawing, but all right, so he draws an egg and then he draws a big ball behind it. My line work is so scratchy, and once again I'm going to blame that on the tablet. But what am I not happy with? There's a lot of things I'm not happy with when it comes to drawing the human figure, but I run into a lot of difficulty with it. When I'm doing architectural things or environmental pieces, I feel a lot more in control. But when I go to draw figurative pieces, I struggle a lot. So I want to put myself to the test and start learning some things. So right now I'm trying to find the center line. I'm also trying to take my time. I think last time I rushed it, especially these beginning stages. So I'm going to try to focus a bit more on this. Work. All right, so next, I'm gonna draw a box. This will help me with perspective. It'll look real ugly at first, but hopefully later it won't look so ugly. I gotta say, egg with a Kiwi accent. I don't think I can do that. Hello, Joe. All right, so once you got the box, which is looking a little wonky. Then you get the proportions. Now there's a lot of different ways you could draw a skull. And I'm trying to be a little bit more controlled. But, you know, if you were in a sketchbook or something, you just quickly do all of this intuitively and not worry so much about it. But I'm trying to think a little bit more technical when I'm doing this, in the hopes that I'll solidify some of this in my memory. Kiwi. Renee says, like Iggy with the... I can't do it, Renee. I can't say cool things. Or I can't use cool accents. I can't do it. All right, so now we have a cool blob inside of a weird box. And now I'm going to try to do most of this on just one layer. Last time I kept creating layers and it just got real confusing. So I'm going to try it this way. Move that up a bit. Jennifer asks, where do you typically find all of these methods to draw skulls? Books, internet? Yes. Both books and internet. This particular method, I was taking notes on this lecture by Robert Beverly Hale from very long ago. It's his black and white lecture. I really liked the guy. He was a student of Bridgman, if anyone knows who Bridgman is. And Hale has his own book and everything, which I also own. I just really like the guy. Okay, moving forward. Now we shrink this down a bit. All right, there's my center line. Everything else will be built off of this. All right. All right, gotta remember to slow down a bit so I don't rush it. Another thing I tried memorizing this week was off of this center line, there's certain things that come out and go in, or come off of the center line and go back into it. And the brow ridge comes forward from it. It goes back to the beginning of the nasal bone. And then about here is the top of the nasal bone. And I might erase all of this and do it again, but question, what is my favorite color? I feel like you ask this just because you know that I don't like this question. I don't know. I don't know what my favorite color is. It's all relative, isn't it? Like if the lighting changes, is blue really blue? You know? I don't know, Rin, what is your favorite color? I'm gonna say gray, just to be really boring. Favorite color is gray. Yes, Joe, I've also learned some of these things in Russian books. When I say, actually, I'm just gonna get it real quick. One second. All right, this is the Russian book I'm talking about. It was translated into English, but I'm not going to flip through it, but it's a wonderful book. It is very advanced, and I don't totally understand it, but, you know, someday. So that's my Russian book. It's in English, but it's Russian. It was originally Russian, and it was just recently translated into English. Let's see. Yes, the Russian books do have all the good knowledge in them. What music do I listen to and play? I don't play a whole lot of music anymore. But when I do, I don't know. I play. That's a good question. It shouldn't be that hard to answer, but is. I don't know. I play a lot of different types of music. I guess it doesn't really answer your question, but I'm just going to leave it there. Question, do you like cool tones or warm tones more? I like neutral room temperature tones. Those are my jam. Room temperature. Let's see. Question, if you had to be a spice, which spice would you be? I'd be allspice. I don't know why. After you learn the skull from memory, will you serenade us? No, I will not. Ryan says, willing to bet never. Yeah, you are correct. Question, what's your favorite snack food? This week, it's actually seaweed. Did you know seaweed comes in these little packages and you can just eat it? It's like little Listerine strips, but it's seaweed. Sounds disgusting. Kind of is disgusting, but I've been enjoying it. He always plays sad music. I do always play sad music. I should play happier music. All right, is this going anywhere? Okay, let's get the jaw. Oh, you know what? You guys want to see my dog? When am I getting vaccinated? Soon. All right, I'm going to introduce you to my dog. Hold on. Did you see her? Okay. By how excited you guys seem. You must have seen her. I don't think she enjoyed being picked up, but oh well. Whoa. Whoa. This side is way too big. Question, do the dogs let you work or do they pester you? Both. Both of them. They're actually pretty good during the day. They just kind of sleep all day. So one thing I was doing this week is I rewatched the stream that I did a few days ago on Saturday, and I took notes on all the things that I had trouble with, and I wrote them on the backs of note cards. Oh man, this isn't working. Hold on 1 second, I'll finish that thought. I took notes on all the things I had trouble with, which was a lot. I mean, I think I have 50 note cards or something that I wrote down. But I tried to form them into questions, and then I tried to answer each one of them. I keep having problems with my Photoshop. It like zooms in and out when I don't want it to. But, oh well. So I did the note cards, and I tried to answer each one of them one by one. I only got through about a third of them, but I think it really helped identify some of the problems that I was having. And I can already see a bunch of problems coming up, but they're not quite the same ones that I was dealing with last week, at least not yet. So they're a little bit different, which is good. Not that I'm having problems, but that they're not quite the same ones that I had last time. Okay, I gotta think through this. Oh, okay. I'm having Photoshop issues. Okay, question. Nope, I already read that. So Willow is my favorite. I love them both equally, but it seems Whiskey does not love me as much right now. Willow's sleeping under my desk. I like that it looks really smiley right now. Skulls look kind of smiley. I don't know if you've ever noticed that, but I mean, maybe mine looks extra smiley. But that's just because I'm such a happy person. So it really comes out in my drawings. All right, let's see. Celebs are here. I don't see any celebs. Okay, yes, Willow's here. Question, if you had a sweet guitar stand, where would you keep it? Right on the wall? I think. Question, what is your go-to dinner recipe? Okay, so recently I've been making steak and quinoa rice, and it's been amazing. Oh, and funny story, I was doing the whole meal prep thing where I make a big old steak, cut it into thirds, put it in the meal prep, and I was doing that, and I turn around and Whiskey is eating my steak, so he ruined that. But whatever. Whiskey's just kind of like that. But yeah, he ate my steak this week. So, good job. Oh, and kale. Been making kale recently. Like kale chips. Alright, let's see. Question, are you using a tablet or Cintiq or something else? I'm using a tablet, and it's kind of driving me crazy. I've spent years on this thing. I mean, I've been using a tablet for over 10 years probably, and it just doesn't feel natural. I feel like all my lines are totally shaky, and it just doesn't feel right. So I wonder I'm sure there's something I'm doing wrong, and I want to look into that soon. So that was on my list of things that I noticed last stream, but I did not work on that, and it's definitely causing some issues, so I need to look more into that. It is possible to be really good at the tablet. I've seen other artists be really good at it, but I've just always struggled with it. Question, what is your favorite pizza topping? Man, you are really liking the food questions. Favorite pizza topping? Just pepperoni. Just give me pepperoni. Okay, so that's not good. That perspective's off. Man, it's so hard to remember all this stuff. Question, have you been exercising? If so, what? Yes, I have been exercising. Not that much. I'm too embarrassed to say what I've been doing, so I'm not gonna say it. It's nothing. Exercising for November. In November, we're scheduled for a savage race. And yeah, I have been kind of thinking about that because it's sort of coming up. So yeah, I guess I kind of am training for that. I need to start working out a little harder, I guess. Start running again. I haven't run in a week or so. You mentioned that the zooming bothers you because you can't see the big pictures. It may be easier on paper. Yeah, one thing you can't do on paper is zoom in real close, which is something I constantly do in digital. And I've always thought about that. But I don't know, because it's so much harder to use the tablet for me, I have to zoom in order to get certain lines to happen. See, like that line, very hard to do if you're zoomed out. So I kind of have to zoom in order to do it. So yes, on paper you're dealing with one, I don't know, there's just extra variables when you go digital. All right. Question, what is your favorite emotion to feel? Anger, definitely anger. That's my favorite. Also seems weird that you're looking somewhere that you're not drawing. What do you mean? Oh, well, I keep looking at the chat. Yes, Steve, you can zoom in on paper, you look closer. That is true. But I don't, well, yeah, you're right. I don't know. But it's definitely different. I cannot zoom in this much on a piece of paper, you know, if the piece of paper was, you know, like that. I can get close, but if you get too close, I don't know. It's something interesting. They are definitely different. Okay, I've been wasting a lot of time on this part of the cranium. All right, let's do a flip. Let's flip the whole thing so we can get a fresh eye on it. Oops. Nope. Try it one more time. Okay, so that eye's totally off. That's awful. See, I'm having trouble with... I feel like it curves around like that. It's hard to remember. I think I consistently make this far eye too big. I don't keep the foreshortening in mind. All right, Renee, now you have me wondering if he is smiling too much. His front teeth definitely look a bit flat. What color eyes and hair did the skull you're creating have in the years before it was only a skull? That's a great question. He had blue eyes, for sure. And maybe blonde hair. I don't know, Renee. How about you tell me about that? I should buy a telescope. Yeah, that would allow me, or a microscope would allow me to view the paper a little better. All right, so this is a mess. The part looks like a snail or something. All right, this is the mastoid process. This is the zygomatic arch, but it looks all messed up for some reason. I know the auditory canal is like in there. See, this was a problem area last time. I think some things are a little bit better, but I definitely need to spend some more time on this. It's pretty complicated what's going on. It's hard to get all the forms to fit correctly. Whoa, see, that's the Photoshop bugging out. I don't know what that's about, but uh-oh. Need to figure that out soon. All right, let's chat. Like when you use a tablet or other digital input, you're looking at a screen while your hand is down on some other surface, right? Yes. Yeah. I mean, unless, see, I use a Cintiq at work and I'm able to look at it, but even a Cintiq I have trouble with. It's still just, and it might be due to a lot of the zooming in and out, because I do that on a Cintiq as well, but I don't know. I've never really gotten used to a Cintiq. I probably like the Cintiq better than a tablet like I have here, but yeah, digital, it takes you one step away from what you're working on. Whereas traditional, you are dealing with it directly. There's a lot of forgiveness that digital art has that traditional art does not, but yeah, there's a trade-off. I still just can't get, I guess this is the part that I'm dealing with, or having trouble with. Maybe that comes out too far. Yeah. Or those glasses with all the different lenses to flip down in front of the main frames. Oh yeah, and then I could zoom in with the, yes, that would be cool. Gender reveal, it's a he. Yeah, I think it's a he. But yeah, I need to go learn a lot of the different skull types. I mentioned this last time. There's so many different shapes to skulls. I mean, they vary more than you think they would. And so I would, this is like generic skull guy, but there's a whole lot of different types. Or different shapes. All right, maybe it's teeth time. I struggled hardcore with this last time. So hopefully my studies will help me a little bit. But I still expect to have some difficulty with this. First, I want to make sure the jaw seems about right. Does the gender play a role in how you picture the skull in your head? At this point, not really. Well, I think I'm making it more male because I want to learn all the little pieces, and on a female skull, it's a lot less noticeable. So I'm mostly, I would say this is, a male skull, and I'm probably exaggerating some of the features a bit like it would be in a male. So yes, it does make a difference And it will make a big difference when I start learning that kind of thing a little bit better. Who thinks zooming should be banned? I actually kind of wish, well, I wish there was a way to lock the zoom. And as far as I know, there isn't a way to do that. But it would be cool if I could lock it, because I'm addicted to doing this. It's just natural for me to constantly be doing that. So I would love to be able to lock it in one place and see what that would be like. All right. I think I kind of need to make a decision here. Oh, I wonder if this is too short. Once you have mastered the human skull, will you delve into skulls of other species? First, I want to, really get a handle on drawing the skull, and then I will move into the entire skeleton of the human. So I'll probably work my way down the whole figure, starting with the head, and then maybe I might go to hands next, or maybe the rib cage, or if I did hands next, that would be dealing with the next hardest part. Actually, they're probably hard. Oh, Photoshop's freaking out again. I gotta fix that. All right, his eyes are a bit. All right, let's do some teeth. I'm just gonna kind of rough them in, and then I'll do a pass and clean it all up, I think. So one thing I learned this week, and we'll see if it helps, but I made this observation while looking at a little model skull I have, and that if you want to draw teeth, it helps if you do this little triangle on top. And at least for the front teeth, you do these other triangles on the bottom. So, small triangle on top. And there's your two. Or your first 4 front teeth. We'll see if that helps at all. It's definitely, it gets a little pixelated here. Question: considering your true end goal is to master the entire human skeleton from memory, would you say this is the most difficult component? Is there any other component you feel could be as hard? Right now, I think the learning techniques I'm using on the skull right now will help me considerably learning the rest of the figure. So I think right now I'm in the hardest part. But if I can figure out new ways of learning how to draw these things from memory, then I can apply that to the rest of the skeleton. And I hope, theoretically, the rest will be easier because I will have spent all the time learning this. So I think I am probably in one of the hardest stages of the whole thing. But, there's going to be a whole lot of other challenging aspects to the rest of it. How do you draw it from memory? You have a full picture in your head, or you just remember the anatomy of skull, like size, shapes compared to other parts of the skull? No, I do not have a whole picture in my head. So I've actually been thinking a lot about this because I've been Well, just thinking about visual memory in general and how, because I'll watch other artists do this kind of thing, and I have come to the conclusion that no one has the full image in their head. You can't. The human brain doesn't work like that. 1 second. You cannot hold this entire thing in your head. The way it works, and it's not like I'm a pro at this or anything, but I've watched a lot of other artists who can do this stuff from memory really, really well. And what they always do is they start with a general impression, and then they go smaller, and then they go smaller and smaller and smaller. So a really good artist is able to do it so quickly. They go through all of these different phases of thinking about it to where you think that they just hold the whole thing in their head at one time, but it doesn't work like that. They have different phases that they cycle through. And even someone, if you guys have heard of, I don't know how to say his name right, but Kim Jong-gi? Artists will know who I'm talking about. But he draws these enormous epic scenes with all these figures, and I mean, he can draw any building, any tank with every detail and in all this insane perspective. But if you watch him draw, he'll do one part and then another part, and he kind of breaks these things down and sort of goes through these different phases as he comes across the whole thing. But it's not like he's a printer and he can just print out the whole image at one time. He's going through specific areas in a whole process. So no, I do not hold the whole thing in my head at one time. I have a general impression, and then I go in a little less general, a little less, and I keep going and going until you get more to the minor details, and then you're able to hold those in your head. So I don't know if that made any sense, but I just needed to ramble, I guess. All right. Are you standing this whole time? Yes, I am standing. I'm at a standing desk. Should have expected the hands to be next on the difficulty list. Yeah, the hands will be very difficult, but even if I learn the skull and the hands and the rib cage and the legs and the pelvis and the everything, the next thing will be putting them all together. And it's not like you can just master the human figure forever. I mean, people spend their whole lives studying how to draw the human figure. I'm not after being a master of the human figure. What I am after is a more full understanding of it, and have a little bit more authority when I go to draw it. Because I get so confused on this stuff, and I'm going for a decent overall understanding of it. And there's an infinite amount of directions you could take your study of the human figure. All right, I totally forgot about the teeth. Where are we? So this is the canine tooth, which should be the biggest. And then your first premolar. Second premolar. I believe these get a little more. Uh-oh. A little more rounded. I would imagine a hard aspect is positioning the human form in a natural way that looks realistic. Yeah, that's a huge thing that I struggle with. Is, I don't know, I'm just real bad at posing figures. I see other people do it, and I don't know, they spend a whole life paying attention to that sort of thing, and I just haven't. And so I don't have that library of it in my head. And really, I don't have the means to build that library, is what I'm realizing. Is you need some sort of way of understanding it in order to start memorizing it. It's like a language. If, like Russian. Say I bought a Russian book that wasn't translated into English. No matter how much I looked at the Russian words, there's no way that I could memorize the words. I don't know that language. So I'm hoping this sort of thing gives me a foundation in which I can begin building a whole library of information off of. Oop, I made these teeth way too small. I am guessing here. I will admit to not knowing my bottom teeth that well. Question: if you could use one skeleton as your model, who would it be and why? You know, similar questions were asked last stream, and you know, if I feel like if I answered that, it would, there's no way it couldn't be really creepy. So, next question. Question: how do you test if your drawing is correct or not? Or how do you know it's good enough or improved compared to last time? Well, actually, this is something I've been thinking about a lot, is in your head, you sort of have this mental model of what it's supposed to be. And when I'm practicing during the week, I'm trying to build that mental model of what a skull is and what's included in the skull and what's not. And hopefully last week, my mental model of a skull was less informed than this week. So I spent a lot of time trying to learn more stuff about the skull in order to improve that model, which is what I'm comparing everything against while I'm drawing it. Let's flip it again. Let's get a fresh eye. See what's all messed up. It doesn't look that bad, right? This part is bugging me. I think maybe it needs to be a little further back. I don't think it looks that bad. But, you know, there are certain areas of that mental model that are still pretty vague or blurry in my mind, and those are the parts that I have trouble with. So that's how I'm trying to tell what is wrong or right, is I'm comparing it to this sort of standard model thing in my mind. And the more I learn about the skull, the more I have to a clearer picture I have to compare everything to when I'm working. Someone's speaking in Russian, and no, I don't know if that's a joke or if you really are trying to say something because I was talking about Russian things. It's pretty funny if it's a joke, and I'm sorry I can't answer it if it's not a joke. Oh. Ryan says he could get me a real human skull for Secret Santa. But yeah, I've looked into that. They can get pretty pricey, but you know, they're available. You can get them. I will probably eventually get one. I just ordered a good replica skull, so I'm pretty excited about that. It should be in, I don't know, sometime soon, but I'll show you guys when I get it. But I hope to do studies from the replica and actually use that to sort of inform this mental model in my head of what a skull should be. And eventually I might do some kind of oil painting of it, you know, like a still life or something like that. But, you know, the whole reason why you learn how to draw a skull or try to understand it is because not because you want to draw skulls all day, even though that's what I've been doing for the last few weeks or month or so, but because if you were to do a portrait, you need to understand what's going on at the foundation, what's going on underneath the skin, and what's really happening. Every time you see a bump or a turn in form on somebody's face, you need to know why in order to paint it well, or in order to draw it well. And that's why artists learn anatomy. They don't just do it to do it. And just like musicians learn scales, you learn that stuff to inform its true use, which is writing music or performing music. Question: you get to eat the brain and absorb the art powers of any artist. Who do you choose? James Gurney. You know the answer to that. Sorry, James, but yeah, I mean, if this is a Space Jam type thing, yeah. But all right, non-living artists. Oh, that's a tough one. There's so many good ones. Maybe Dean Cornwell. I might go after Dean Cornwell's brain. Also, Adolf Menzel. Adolf Menzel is another favorite. Okay, I think it's time to go in with some prettier line work. I start talking and rambling, and then I just keep drawing the same thing over and over again. But, oh well. There's a tangent here. All right. It feels more like a skull than last week. I think so too. I think there's still some things that are bugging me, but overall, I think it's more skull-like, right? I really, if there are any artists in here, I would highly suggest this flashcard thing I started doing. It's incredible. Okay. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. And what is it supposed to be? Like you retrying to describe it or give it a definition, or what is it exactly? I don't totally understand that one. Question, but isn't it hard to keep this model in your head? It's a skull, but it has parts, and the parts made of smaller parts and so on. Yeah, it is hard to keep it in my head, but it's not. I mean, that's a good question. Isn't it hard? It is hard, but I mean, like anything, you keep practicing it. I mean, I remember the days when I was, and I still do this, like when I'm warming up. Here, I'll go over here. If I'm going to draw a ball, I don't think a circle. I try to imagine an actual ball, right? And this is so bad because my line work is horrible on Wacom, but I'm imagining an actual ball in front of me that has weight, and I can feel my way all the way around it. I'm not imagining a circle. But it's very hard to hold an object or hold a form like that in your head. And if I was to draw a cube, I try to imagine a cube in an exact orientation. And so I'm actually thinking of all the times I drew a cube. And so but it's not easy to hold even a cube in your brain. Like it takes some conscious effort, but I remember practicing that over and over and over again at trying to imagine the 3D form of it. Whereas, you know, I don't know, at the beginning you think, oh, I need to draw a sphere, so I'll draw a circle. And so you just think like circle, but that is a completely flat thing. So is it hard? Well, if you saw the start of it, I started with an egg shape, which is hardly different than a sphere, right? So I can hold that in my head, and then I cut it up into proportions, and then I cut all of those proportions into smaller things and smaller things, and I'm able to think of small forms like that. It's very difficult or impossible to think of an entire skull or a skull in its entirety. So yes, it's hard, but if you do the process correctly or efficiently, then you are able to do it with not too much difficulty because you're only thinking of the smaller things. Okay, sorry, that was a very long, rambling answer. Okay, wait, hold on. The teeth are messed up too. You got to make your teeth jankier. I'm not going to mess with the teeth. They're probably all wrong, but... Oh, first message. I hoped that Russian book you showed was useful to you. Second one was a joke. The Russian book, I actually haven't really gone through it much. I love it, but I would like to actually go through the whole thing. It's been on my wish list of things I want to do. But it would require a whole lot of time, and I just don't have that right now. But I have been using it for certain areas that I've been struggling with. I'll open up the book and see if I can find the solution in there. All right, I'm making another layer. I'm lowering the size of the line. I'm not answering that question, Ryan. Mostly because I don't get it. What was James's last name? James Gurney. Yeah, okay. Ren just answered. Thank you, Ren. You said this is an improvement. I think it's an improvement too. Oh, I did the vertical flip again. All right, but now we got to clean it up. There's some nostalgia in your style of drawing. Really cute style. Well, thank you. Thank you. I don't see that, but I appreciate it. Question, which drawing of yours are you the most proud of? Or the most complex one, and could you show a few? The things that I am most proud of... Hold on. Let's see. Gotta make sure this doesn't open on the stream. But we should be good. If you want to see a few paintings of mine, give me a second. These are old because I haven't done anything really complex in so long. Because I've had a job for the last 4 years where I can't show any of that. One second. Here. All right, here we go. So this is something I did years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and it's, you know, I mean, looking back now, there's a million things that I think I'm very disappointed in, but, you know, overall, it was a lot of fun to do. But as you can see, the figures are very small and hidden, but the architecture, I think, turned out okay. Certainly so many things I would change about it, but, you know, I spent a lot of time on this and I enjoyed it. Ryan, I'm not answering any of those questions, although yes, technically I will need to learn the butt eventually. But, well, I don't want to go through a whole history of things that I've drawn. Maybe some other time I can kind of give a rundown of things that I've done, things I want to improve, that kind of thing. But I should probably wrap this guy up eventually. All right, going in with some tighter line work, hopefully. Sometimes I totally mess it up during this. But anyway, Steve, I don't know if that totally answers your question, but there are things that I've done that I'm proud of, but, well, I've done a lot of stuff at work that I'm proud of, which I, of course, can't show, which is kind of like a cop-out. But, well, I really love doing traditional artwork. I really love oil painting. I love drawing on paper. I love gouache and watercolor stuff, which I do not get to do very often. I love like plein air painting, which is just painting outside. I really love doing that, but I hardly ever get to do it. Just because, I work full time, and I work in Photoshop at work. Sometimes I get the chance to draw traditionally, but it's not often. Question, do you find it useful, this mental model, for songwriting? How would you apply it in that context? Is it even applicable and efficient? Yes, absolutely. I would love to use this method for songwriting. So with art, like with this is a pretty clear example of a mental model. I have a model of a skull in my head that I'm trying to match and compare things against. But if I'm creating a piece of art, like a whole scene, and coming up with things, that's a little bit different because there isn't some exact model of that in existence. But there's all the pieces that you build that thing with from a model in your head. So if I'm doing a whole scene, that includes architecture and human figures and lighting and perspective and landscaping and all of that stuff. I have my own mental models of how all of those things look and the quality of the art itself and what that would look like when I finish and how it looks like at every step of the process. So I'm comparing all of those different aspects to some sort of model that I have of them in my head at the time that I do them. For songwriting, it's the same way. If you were, and I haven't tried this out really, well, consciously I haven't really tried it out with songwriting, but as you write a song, you have a library of things in your head about how songs should sound, what you're trying to express, and what that means through music. And so at every step of the way, you're comparing what you're writing to these models in your head that exist. And if you purposefully kind of take a look at... hold on. I'm not making sense. Give me a second. Teeth are hard to draw and discuss mental models at the same time. But yes, if you're writing a song, you do have models that you're using while you write a song, and you should try to take a look at exactly what they are. If you want your music to sound a little bit like the Beatles, then maybe you spend some time studying the Beatles and what does it mean to make a song that sounds like the Beatles? What do the Beatles do in their songs? How, do they do a lot of key changes? Do they do a lot of strange, or, what do their chord changes look like? What do they sound like? What, I don't know. All those different aspects that make a Beatles song, which ones of those do you want to apply to your way of writing music? And it's the same way with art. I really think this whole mental model idea, which we've talked about on the podcast, plays into pretty much everything. But I don't know how well I'm doing describing it or talking about it, because it's hard to talk and draw. Okay. It's interesting how different it looks on the monitor or on some traditional material that I don't know the name of. Yeah, I put this little paper texture on the back to make it seem a little bit more traditional, and I'm using a pencil brush to make it feel a little bit more traditional. But yes, it would definitely look a bit different traditionally, and I may eventually change this to be traditional, where I'm streaming traditional stuff. It's just really convenient to do it this way. Plus, I do not have a nice camera that I could do that with. I'm currently having to learn to draw again after I messed my drawing hand up, lost some fingers and knuckles, and couldn't draw for 2 years, but now I'm sort of back. I'm getting better every day. Any advice? Are you using your other hand? Or, like, are you switching from your dominant hand to your other hand? Do you have some resource that could help me understand this mental model thing? I might do the same sometimes, and I just cannot describe it, and it seems it was hard for you guys to describe it. Is it similar to visualization? So, well, I'm assuming that you listened to the podcast. So we did 2 episodes on it, and it's still very confusing, I think. So where we started reading about this, even though we had already kind of theorized about it, but we started reading about it in this book called Peak, The New Science of Expertise, or something like that. It's not the one about Mount Everest. It's not that one. Or maybe that was... Anyway. It's called Peak, and he talks about mental representations, mental model stuff, and that was a great book on it. I wish he would have gone more in depth on it, but it was still a really great book. So I would suggest checking out the book called Peak. It's a very good book. My Photoshop seems to be running a little slow. I don't know why. Yeah, it's kind of lagging behind. I don't know what's going on. Come on, Photoshop. Joe, if you're still there, you need to come over and fix my computer. It's too slow. Okay. Still using your messed up hand, your right hand. Okay, so what would I suggest? Well, first off, I've never had to deal with that. I don't know. But I would say do very controlled ways of building that skill again. Obviously, you're going to have to relearn a lot of things, but just trying to do it, trying really hard and experimenting all the time doesn't seem like the right way to do it. I would do very controlled ways of practicing very specific things. And actually, I should do this exact same thing to get better at the tablet that I'm using. But instead of drawing something like a skull, in order to relearn a lot of the ways you use your motor skills with your hand, I would practice, drawing straight lines and simplifying it and analyzing it and what works and what doesn't, straight lines and circles or whatever, but very controlled ways of building back up that skill. or working on the relationship between your brain and your hand, because it's going to be different. But that definitely sounds difficult. I actually was, to address your statement, Ryan, I was wondering how to approach that when I get to all the muscles and I start drawing a bunch of naked people. How does that work on a stream? I don't totally know. So if you have any suggestions. Oh man, my Photoshop's messing up real bad. It's like lagging a lot. Oh well. Yes, Keaton says, okay, man, I'll practice my lines. I'm currently working on shape and shading. Yeah, I mean, those are great ways to practice art. But if the hand is the thing that you're having trouble with, I would tackle that first. Because I can't, oh man. See, I'm trying to draw in Photoshop and it's messing up. And so before I do anything else, wow, it's like almost frozen. Before I do anything else, I have to fix the technical thing. So if I were you, I would fix the technical thing first. Unless, you get bored with it, you want to do something else, but. Oh man. Having a lot of trouble with my Photoshop. Hey, that kind of looks like a skull, right? I think. Do you have a professional experience in drawing erotic arts? I do not have a professional experience in drawing erotic arts, no. I draw family-friendly museums and theme parks all day. It's very far from being erotic. I've drawn plenty of nude figures before. They just didn't look very good because I'm not very good at drawing them, but I have no problem with drawing that stuff. But no, I do not have any experience with it. My stream is getting wonky too. Might be taxing your CPU too much. Yeah. All right, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna switch the stream to my phone. And maybe that'll help a little bit. Though first I have to figure out how to do that. So be patient. I'm not on a Mac. Good luck, Keaton Smith. I hope. That sounds tough. Almost there. Nope, never mind. I can't do it. It's not showing up on my phone. Oh well. Yes, I need a donation for a new CPU. God, I don't know what's going on. It's like opening that folder messed everything up or something. Maybe. Okay, hopefully this doesn't lose this. Wait, I'm asking Michael, if I close OBS, will it stop my stream? Is that a good idea or a really stupid idea? Okay, I will not do that. See, I totally thought it was fine. So I'm glad I asked. Okay, I will not do that. Alright, well, I hate to leave it right here. There's a lot of other things I want to do. Oh, I'll just keep drawing and deal with it, I guess. Check out Cash Grab on Indiegogo if you're into art. The comic has some great art and also looks funny as hell. Okay. So this week I tried to just really focus on getting a decent, accurate line drawing. Last stream I was going back and forth on trying to do a tonal drawing and like cross-hatching stuff, and I was just doing way too much stuff at one time. So this week I really tried to simplify it. Yeah. And I definitely think that's helped. But if anyone is still there, let me show you this. Oh, never mind. I left everything outside my room. I was going to show you all the flashcards I have. Maybe I'll do that next time. Okay. Photoshop's becoming almost unusable. That's a shame. Oh, you saw them on my Instagram. That's true, yeah. Never mind. You already seen them. So I do the flashcards, and they help a whole lot. So last week I was having trouble with the teeth, and so one of my flashcards was, you know, what are a few ways to handle the teeth, or what are the different sizes? And so I was looking for different ways of handling the teeth. I'm not 100% happy with how they turned out, but definitely an improvement on last time. And so I came up with that little triangle thing I was talking about earlier. And so next time I'm drawing, when it pops in my head, oh my God, what do I do about the teeth? I just remember the flashcard, like, oh yeah, you do the triangle thing. And that helps a lot. The other thing, some of the other things were, I was having trouble with this, where to place the tip of the nasal bone. And it's actually bugging me a little bit, this line. But, you know, so one of the flashcards is, where does the tip of the nasal bone line up with the rest of the skull? And it was about right there, so. Just some of the things that were on the flashcards. Oh, my dog is dreaming. I don't know if you heard that or not, but. All right, I don't know how much more I can do with this Photoshop. I've closed everything. The only thing I have running is Spotify. That's it. Thank you, Jennifer. Should I invest in an iPad Pro considering my hand and I'm currently drawing traditional? I mean, you certainly can. If you're just starting out, sticking with paper for as long as you can, I would say is the way to go, because it's the most direct and it trains you to really have to think about things. Whereas when you go digital, immediately you'll be using that Control Z and undo. I would stick with traditional for as long as you can, but different people feel differently on that. But you get used to all of these crutches with digital things. All right, just for fun. All right, so obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but one of the big problem areas for me this week is the cranium. So I need to work on all of this, and to try to turn that into a concrete question. What are the planes? This is not working. Planes of, I'll just put crani. Planes of the cranium. What are they? I need to understand the form of the cranium a lot better. I've been spending all my time on the proportions of the rest of it, trying to get that down. So I'll try to spend some more time on the cranium this week. Also, this area, it was a problem area last week. I think it got a little bit better, but still needs some work. I need to do that. I could spend some more time on the jaw. That seems important. But this whole top half is struggling for me, I think. Just for fun. I told myself I wasn't going to do this, but I just enjoyed doing it. Just throw a couple little highlights on there. It's kind of fun. Yes, puppy dreams. My Willow, my dog, she starts dreaming and starts starts kicking, and it's kind of scary. It's like a seizure or something. But I guess she's fine. Have I tried turning it off and on again? I am too afraid to turn it off and on again. Question, you said you like paper better, but isn't it harder? Like you can't make that much mistakes in layers, etc. In some ways it's harder, but it's not as simple as that. I think people think of traditional as being, way harder because it's a little less forgiving. It's this or that. But I've said this before, but it's almost like really good mathematicians, they don't need a calculator. They can do things faster without one because they're not relying on a shortcut. So they train their brain to be, I won't say better, but you train yourself away from the crutches. And I'm not saying traditional artists are better than digital artists at all. That's not at all what I'm saying. But for me personally, when I do things traditionally, I go about them a little bit differently, where I think more instead of draw more. If I'm doing it digitally, I'm very carefree and careless, really, with some things. And I'll just start throwing things around without thinking. But if I'm working traditionally and I know I can't afford to mess things up, then I do more thinking. And a lot of times I work a lot smarter that way. And it works out better, which is weird because you wouldn't think that would be the case. But it's true for me. I know some digital artists that are absolutely incredible and they hate working traditionally. So I don't know. But for me, I am a big advocator for the traditional because of the way it makes you think before you make a mark. And I try to model my digital process after traditional in some ways. The stream index picture is sick, by the way. Thank you. I would recommend palpating your own skull throughout the week too. I don't know what the word palpating means, so yeah, adding some value for fun is a good way to end it. I agree. I think the only issue with me adding value is that it doesn't match the other ones. Like they're all in different styles or something, and that kind of bugs me. I kind of wish they were all more the same, but at the same time, it's kind of cool to see how much I struggled at the beginning and now. So I'm almost done, and then we'll put it with the other ones and compare it and see if I've improved at all. Which I feel like I have. I feel like this went much smoother. I did a lot of practicing and actually I didn't do that much drawing. I just did a lot of studying. Oh, it just means feeling. Like, just use your hands to explore all the ridges and protuberances, etc. Yeah, I totally agree. And there's some things where I'll be studying the skull and reading about it, and like I just don't get it. And then I walk in the mirror, and I'm like, oh my god, I have a skull. I can look at me to find answers sometimes. So yes, I totally agree. And actually, I wonder if that helped you learn. I'm sure it did. You're a masseuse. I'm sure that helped with learning all the muscles for that. Try to see your own skull through your sense of touch like a blind person would. That is brilliant. And I'm going to write that down. Photoshop wasn't going so slow. Let's see, I guess it's a fun palpating running out of room. Cool. I learned a new word today. Thank you. And it's a different feel to the weight of the pencil, the shape of it, like an acoustic or MIDI simulated instrument. Yeah, using a real pencil versus using this thing and then looking on a screen and seeing it move. You're just really far removed from it. I love drawing traditionally. I feel like you could probably gather that. But I love having the real thing. I mean, I also like working digitally too. It's fun. All right, now I'm just messing around. Just a couple more things and then... I definitely started... once Photoshop started getting weird, I began adding more and more layers. I'll try to not do that next time. Just because, well, it's one of those things digitally that it's kind of like a crutch, and it can actually make things a lot more messy for you. You think it'll help to have everything on a separate layer, but actually it can hurt you a lot. Because down the road it gets confusing and you forget what layer does what. So I will I'll go back and review this a lot more in depth and figure out a lot of the things I'm messing up with. And, you know, so far I've only drawn it from like this very simple 3/4 view. Eventually I want to start getting into a lot of different angles and maybe drawing, you know, 10 of them instead of just one. I'm not totally sure what I'll do going forward, but this is improvement to me. I think it's, you know, it's not perfect, but it's an improvement. So let's put it to the test though and compare it to the rest of them. Oh, wait. Oh, man. I need Photoshop help, guys. I don't know if the line work really holds up from far. Okay. Emperor Palpatine. Nice. Palpate is everywhere. Are you going to show this compared to the model skull? You mean like my model skull? Like the one that I... Hold on. Oh, yeah. I can do that. Oh, man. This is... Joe, we need to have a serious talk about Photoshop. Or about my computer. Cool. I get to remove one of these guys. I'll go back and look at that. All right, there it is. To me, now I'm starting to see some mistakes, but to me, that was much cleaner than the other guy. I can't stand the last times. I like the idea of drawing one segment or feature of the skull too, like just the jaw or the mastoid processes or the occiput. Did you mean occipital or occiput? I've never heard it that way. Yeah, so I don't know. Because I set up this whole page, I kind of wanted to do like, I want to be able to see clear progress. And I'll zoom out some. And in order to do that, I kind of wanted to do like, you know, one full skull sort of in the same way. I really like this guy, but I spent a long time drawing him, whereas this guy only took an hour. But yeah, I don't know. But I would like to get a little more loose and start drawing different angles and multiple things at one time. I don't need to always go this slow and this controlled, because it might be a little boring to watch. But I guess I could keep messing with them forever, but now there's things bugging me. Oh well, it is what it is. Should get better next week, I hope. All right. Oh, let me grab my little model. Yeah, I agree. The old one's teeth are a bit... Well, I don't know if you mean this guy. I don't like his teeth. But this one... Yeah. See, this was... There's certain technical things that I was struggling with this guy. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things I like about him. I think I got really lucky with that guy. Thank you, Rin. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I like the whole pencil treatment on this. I tried not to shade this guy at all. Actually, that's probably the main reason why he doesn't look as cool. It's because I just didn't shade him like the rest. I just running out of time, and my Photoshop is so messed up. I'll be right back. I'm going to grab the skull, and then I'll compare him to that. So I'll be right back. So there's Whiskey. There's my other dog, in case you're wondering. All right, this is my little model skull. Let's try to, it's kind of hard to position this. But that's a similar view, right? Yeah, if you compare the two, that's what we're looking at. So I'm trying to compare them. Interesting. So this is my little study skull, and it's great. It was like 20 bucks or something. That big dog was Whiskey. So he's pretty cool. All right, I think I'm about done. I will see you guys next stream. Thank you so much for stopping by. This was fun. And I look forward to the next one. Next week on Wednesday, I think same time. See you guys later. Thank you.